Yo, greetings to one and all. Yes, you are tuned into Spirit True Reality Show. Yes, a little late in getting on, but it's how it is today. What we have today for you is going to be another continuation of the event. We're going to be talking about the event Vibrantly African on the 29th of September. And in the studio today, we have again with us beautiful Carol Methabula, and also we have my brother Galactic Clyde. Yes, the one and only. So yes, sit tight, and we will be having a vibrant show here, and we're gonna go into some talks. We're gonna enter into astrology, some herbs, about herbs, numerology, where it goes. And basically also, talking about what, we're going to be presenting at Vibrantly African. And Carol is here as well. So, yeah, we're going to have a good evening again. So, yeah, just chillax and sit back and tune in. All right. Reality of our true selves. There can be no other savior than yourself. Whoa. Roots. Roots. Yeah. Roots. Whoa. Roots. Yeah. Roots. Yeah. Yeah. Roots. Roots. Oh. Such deep love for yourself. True self. Roots can live together in this disagreeable way. No. So I guess I'll have to say to you, we're on our way. Kicking off the dust from off our heels. I say he who knows is he who feels. Roots are calling from within, say roots. Oh yeah. Reality of our true selves is what your spirit said to me. Break the spell to be now free. Whoa, roots and realize your spiritual majesty. Yeah, open up your eyes so we can now see. Whoa, roots. Reality of our true self. There can be no other savior than yourself. Oh, roots. Yes, Roots. And now we hear this is a tune from Johnny Osborne, Yeah, True 10 Rights. So, yes, the True 10 Rights of our own being, we have to know. So, on the back of this track, I'm going to bring in the two, distinguished guests that I have, Brother Clyde and Sister Carol Methabula. So, yes, stay tuned. You are tuned into Bless FM. Oh we're on the FM Bless FM 92.9, and you can always tune in also on www.blessradio.org. And yes, as we are live on air now, you can also tune in on YouTube, and the the number for the show to call in is 07944 Okay, we're going to open up the caller line. So, yes, after this, we'll be back with the two distinguished guests I have on here with me here now. Okay, this evening. All right.
Could be sudden destruction, 'cause we know, yes, we know. I say these few words to you. Remember the word I am saying to you right now. And for tomorrow and henceforth I say, render your hearts and not your garments. The truth is there for whoever has to see. Partiality has no place in this judgment. Just remember the words of prophecy. I say, children run, come, the truths and rights. That's what I'm about. You know the truths and rights. Teach it to the children. Run, come, the truths and rights. That's what I'm about.
Yeah, yes. That was Truth and Rights by Johnny Osborne. So here you have Cosmic L Mystic, a.k.a. Siayome, with you today, this evening, and on the Spirit True Reality Show. This night, this Tuesday, I have with me the guests in the studio, Brother Galactic Clyde and Sister Carol Methabula. And I have pronounced your name correctly, haven't I, my dear? Yes. Woo. Okay. Which mic did you turn on? Okay, Sister, could you introduce yourself to the people?
Hey, lovely people. Thank you so much for listening. For 3 weeks, I have been with you, and I feel like I'm a part of your family. And yeah, here we are again with interesting discussions around Vibrontly. And yes, Carol Matewula.
All right. And without any further ado, we have our other brother for you, Brother Galactic Clyde. How you doing, my brother?
Yes, greetings. Blessed to be on Bless FM, Vibrantly African.
All right.
Moving forward.
All right. So, yes, this evening, we're going to talk, we're going to be into the spirituality. This is what it's about. Healing, wholeness, well-being, because this is what we are dealing with when we are promoting this event that's coming up in a few weeks. Is at the 29th of September. So we're dealing with Vibrantly African, and to be as vibrant beings, and what we need to facilitate, attune into the expansion of consciousness and the growth. And there's a lot of healing that needs to go on here, and we've got a lot of I should say planetary activities going on, which gonna be a lot of strong intense themes around relationships and self-worth and letting go of what no longer serves us, and to take that deep dive within in order to facilitate and assist ourselves with our own clearing. So I will, where do I start now? My gosh, who do I begin to flex in here? because Carol, how are you?
I'm well, very
Yeah.
well. Excited and looking
Yes.
forward to the event, definitely.
And you've been putting a lot of work in. So I mean, gosh, you're not getting your beauty sleep and so forth and your rest.
Yes, but I
It's
think it's all worth it though.
oh,
Because when I
absolutely.
look at the people who are participating at this event, it's really, really incredible. And I
Yes.
think people have to come out and see this.
Yes.
It's a group of very, very powerful, magical people in one room
Uh-huh.
gathering for healing. I think this is,
Yes.
yeah, it's incredible.
Yes, I mean, in this day and time, yes, in this day and time, this is so important for true soul growth and expansion. And so, we're gonna talk a bit about astrology and about herbs, and we got our brother in the house here, Galactic Clyde, and is very astute and very knowledgeable on very, very, very many things. And it's good to kind of have this opportunity to share, the different points of views, so we can expand our perception, of ourselves and reality more, because, you can take different roads to get to the same place, or you can journey to the same place via different methods. You can walk it, ride it, fly it, bus it, you know what I mean? Run it, crawl it. Yeah, me said that already, So it's like, say, whole up a different modalities to get to the same place. But as long as you get into the same place, then it's all cool. So, yeah, man. So, my brother Clyde.
Greetings, yes.
Yes, man. Let's bring you in there,
We there. I just like to say, big up Carol for her groundbreaking work that she's doing, and looking forward to Vibrantly African, and the 29th, magical number, the 29, 209 is 11, yes, which is a master number in the master year, which is also a master number. So we're looking forward for a very powerful day, really, in connection to Vibrantly African. And I'll be doing a talk there. I think Brother El Mystic, you also doing a talk.
Yes, brother.
Yes.
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 I mean,
Can I?
Yes,
Can I
go ahead.
interrupt?
You go. You go.
I said today that it's going to be very fascinating for me because I'm surrounded by two powerful forces that are busy with the atmosphere's energy from the above. So I feel like I'm really, really being protected by really the source of what it is.
right.
We're gonna build it up slowly, and then get a good foundation in, and it's not far fetched from you, because as we say, as above, so below.
That's right.
So all you do really need is the reflection.
Yeah.
Yeah. The cosmos reflects down here.
That's
You know,
right.
the stars are down here as well.
Exactly.
Yes.
And I would add to that it's also within us ultimately.
Yeah.
As we are in the universe is within us. So as the universe being within us, when we talk about the heavens and the stars, even the word consideration means to take the stars in together with your thoughts and your intentions, throughout your days and throughout your life. So there is a lot of energies here, but it's like both of us, Clyde and myself, we're going to be at this event. And I'm going to be talking about astrology related to consciousness, our patterns of consciousness. And Clyde, you're going to be talking about the herbs and also linking it to astrology too, isn't it?
Yes. The herbs.
Yes.
I'm talking about different plants, and I'll be talking about some of the ones that maybe people never heard about, and the importance of plants and the connection with plants and planets and the interchange, and how to recognize the different herb that will be good for the body in different ways. Because we're in a society where there's too much fakes going on.
Yeah,
too much falsification going on, and we got to get back to the real.
Most certainly.
We got to get back to the real. So we got to talk about real food that we can eat, real herbs that will be good for the body in different ways, in different healing, and also for long-term health. Because most time we only think about health and healing, when we actually get sick, you know, especially when we talk about herbs or medicine. You know, our everyday life is not count until when, you know, we have to be laid down and something is wrong somewhere, you know, and then we have to start to retrace the step, or have somebody else retrace the step, or somebody put a monkey wrench in the step, and then before you know it, we're not here anymore. So we got to talk about these steps that is important that we need to take to get us where we need to go, really.
And you remember that old saying, from the old folk and backyard, and I mean, I know you're from Montserrat, isn't it?
Yes, that's
Yes. And my background is Jamaica and other places, and there's a saying you're familiar with, which is prevent is better than cure.
Exactly. Yes.
And like what she's saying, that we don't seem to value our health as such until something go wrong.
Yes.
Yeah, and we don't have to have something go wrong before we step in to try to do something. And usually by that time, when you're stepping in to do something, things is being is far blown. It's blown up and already advanced and all of that. But as you're saying about we're living in a very artificial, synthetic world. This manufactured reality. And I remember the other day when we was having a little word, and I was saying that you see how funny it is how health is natural to be healthy. But it's as if to say, the way we approach the whole idea with health is like, if you're ill, people say, well, it's a part of life. It's like, it's accepting that being ill is just part of life and natural, when it's actually not natural to be ill. It's natural to be healthy. And if somebody is, quite healthy, it seems like a phenomenon to many people. They want to know your recipe and your secret, and you must be your DNA, must be your genes in it, and it must be this and that. Make it seem like a great mystery, when really it's supposed, that is the natural state of ourselves to be healthy.
Yes.
So when we look and see how our ideas, our perception to do with life and to do with our health and well-being has become so reliant now on so much artificial synthetic things that has so much side effects to it, which then just, it doesn't even cure you, doesn't heal you. All it do is make you codependent upon medication, which brings money to the corporate companies and so forth, And now they're kind of in certain places legalizing cannabis, marijuana, hemp. Look how long that's been around, naturally being used, the whole plant, for a whole heap of different type of purposes. But it's like you need permission from us, an artificial, intelligence, to make you say, well, it's okay to use it, or them tell you you can't use it, so you can't use it. Yeah. But you see, where you specialize in one of the many things, dealing with herbs. I mean, my brother, can you go into some of that and, what people can work with? Because we need to see these tools in nature as what we can use to work with ourselves, and benefit from. So,
yes, okay. Well, as you're talking about hemp, a long time ago, what hemp is what they call it, is a synthetic form, as far as the understanding goes, is a synthetic form of the original species, which we call marijuana or ganja or sensimilia.
Yeah, or them
they created a brand, which yes, and so that's why there's a bit of a lot of legal jargon around what's the original strand in terms of the marijuana or the ganja or the sensimilia. But that aside, we could look at the connection with the rise of this, the legality around hemp, also in connection with the Saturn in Capricorn. Even though it started around Saturn in Sag, late Sag, the Saturn in Capricorn is propelling the whole world phenomena, because hemp is also, or ganja or marijuana, as people may call it, is also ruled by Capricorn, as far as I understand. Yeah. In terms of when you come on to health and healing, or what we call longevity healing or longevity health, we have to think about it similar to what the old people said. You're putting up something for the rainy day. Back home we used to have this saying, put away something for the rainy day. And that should not be only considered the finance that we put away, but also our health in terms of what we do, in terms of build up on the nutrition of our body, stay away from a lot of the synthetic and the process and the, all the stuff out there that's not going to benefit on us on the long run. You got people out there may go out and may be drinking, and they don't realize that each time they take strong drinks, they deplete in the calcium nature of the body. Certain foods are deplete certain things of their body. So as they get older, they start the shakes and they having liver problems and things like that. The sickness that we encounter in life didn't happen on the day that we get sick. We corroded down the road just like a river or stream or a mountain. We just diminish. With every bite, we're reducing what's vital with our body, and especially when we're taking things that are not nutritious, the body have to make up for the deficit because you have to add the nutrition because you have to be supported. And the unique thing about the body, it would easily strip vital essence from other parts of the body that is not really considered like the major organs. So somebody may have leg cramps or things that may be happening to other parts, or just stripping of the melanin contents in the skin because you have to support the vital organs, because it's always better to support the vital organs, similar to what government do. You got the cannon fighters going out there when they're having a war, not the major generals. In the ancient warfare, is the major generals, the kings on the battle in the front. But in this day and time, no, it's the cannon fighter. They put all the not so good soldiers as they consider as the front of the battle. And it's the same thing with our body. Our major organs need to be protected when they come on to our health. And so if we're not eating right, then our major organs have to be intact, where other parts of the body get stripped of vital nutrients to support the major organs.
You mentioned something about stripping of the melanin. I was going to ask, what do you feel is the insight for what it would say the cause for vitiligo?
Vitiligo. That's
vitiligo.
What they call it. Most times it's nutrition deficiency, and a lot of people eat food without the skin. A lot of the foods have a lot of the nutrients in the skin, and a lot of people are eating food just out of can, which is on the third nature of eating of food. We're not eating food coming straight from the ground into the pot. In that sense, we're eating it that been preserved for many days, decades. Some of these foods that we don't know, and these things create a deficiency in the body.
That's interesting, because you never see nature put anything in a can, is it? And things that sit on shelf life for how long and all of that, and it's it's very different to the days we grew up, because we wouldn't. You see a lot of the youths that would be, and even grown-ups, so-called grown-ups, they're eating from fast food, everything's outside and so forth. But when we were growing up, man, we had homegrown food, exactly. And that's how we were brought up. So the time now is so different, and you can see what therefore contributes to a lot of this ill health, or the lack of knowledge of what is healthy for you. Because a lot of the things that, for example, like my parents gave me. I remember the Irish moss, hot, warm Irish moss in the morning. Yes. You know what I mean? With the Sonata Jane wine in it, and have some clove in it and all of that.
Yes.
And ingesting all of that before, didn't even know it was so good for us. Flaxseed oil, every day, every 6 months when we go upon school holiday, I forget you remember? You forget your purge. Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Your parents give you a sitting for clean you out and everything like that, But a lot of that isn't really necessarily being done now from a young age, and people are growing up very, very different in this time. Everything is very, very very artificial. Carol, I mean, you know, what you like to inject in there? Because how is it? I mean, gosh, you got such a rich experience in many places you've been in the world, you know, and your own background, you know,
Yeah.
growing up in South Africa, you know. I mean, yeah, you know.
Yeah, I was saying that yesterday. I said to you that my father, he was very, very in tune with medicinal world and also the zodiac signs like astrology and etc. So for me, sitting here talking to you guys, you really take me back to my childhood, whereby life was always they always told us when we were young that it is very important to be aware of what you eat. We used to have a garden. You know, my great grandmom had a garden where we used to go outside and pick up food before we cooked. And you know, so I think it is important, as you said, you guys, to come back to ourselves and to stop running. You know, because it seems as if everything that we do this nowadays, it's running, collect money, work, and eat fast food because you don't have time to cook, and McDonald's because of there's no time. But I rather have a long longevity, and you know,
Than just a quick fix.
exactly. So I think, as we said, it is important for us to go back and find ourselves. How do you call it? Self discovery.
Yeah.
It begins with
Self remembrance.
There we go. It begins with eating well. It begins with understanding your emotions. It begins with where are you at as a human being? How are you impacting your life in a proper manner? So definitely this is what this Vibrantly African, it is about putting people like us together who are very informed with looking after our bodies.
Yes.
And making sure that we're healthy for years to come, because of longevity, it's a hard work
Yes.
if you don't look after it. But if you
Yes.
look after it, you stay young for as long as you shall remember, isn't it? Because of your body gets nutrients that it requires.
That's true. That's true. I mean, we're going through the sign of Virgo, you know, astrologically, and we're gonna touch on some of this. So I'm gonna, you know, be touching on certain things related to astrology as such. And you know, Virgo is about how we nurture our body. You know, the health and the healing, the body, how we nurture the body and heal the mind and body connection, and the fact that the body has so much wisdom. You know, when we tune into ourselves, you can, you know, and listen to the body's wisdom, because, you know, we get these signs and we do get these signals, but if we're not being aware enough, if we're not taking time to go within the vehicle that we are experiencing our physical reality through, it's like we're not being aware of these signs, these warning signs, you know. And you know, there is this emphasis on the outside, you know, and the food we eat and the healthy things we're supposed to ingest. But at the same time, we know, says there's a saying that one man food is another man poison. So there's a certain there's another level to do with this health that, you know, people need to also be aware of their own system, you know, because not everything works in the same way for everyone. And when we become very dependent or codependent on external things, like how this society sets up, it kind of disempowers you to make it seem like physical food is the only form of nutrition that the body needs. It's also, what are you taking in through your consciousness? What's your mindset? You know, what's your perception of yourself? What's the perception you have of life? You know, because a lot of us can absorb. We don't see, so that the things you listen to, the type of things you read, the things you tune into on a mental level is also like nutrition or poison.
True.
You know, And these go a long way in contributing to, the state of health or ill health, so to speak. And it's interesting, the word health, because we can use words a lot and we really don't know what it's, we take the meaning for granted, I should say. We talk about there's such thing as mental health as well as physical health, and there's emotional well-being. And when we use the word health, I think it's important for people to remember that it means wholeness, to be whole. To heal is to be whole. And when you're whole, you're well. You see? And even if you get a cut in your, a break in the skin, or, the healing, the indication of the sign that something is healed is that you see the wholeness come back again. The severed parts have been fused or knitted back together to become one thing, seamless, skin, yeah, and or bone or what's not. That wholeness, that health and wholeness is synonymous, So I feel there is spiritual, psychological, emotional, and physical well-being. And the body is more than, life is more than the food we eat. Yeah? Life is more than the food we eat. But the food we eat is important and contributes to our well-being. At the same time, I would kind of like, what do you think about, see, there are a lot of people into this awareness, this health consciousness from a very physical level, We talk about being vegan, people talk about being vegetarian, and, cutting out meat and this and that. But at the same time now, do everybody have the same shoe size?
Let me answer that. I'm laughing at that because then we're moving up the scale now. We're moving up the scale because Carol, me and you had the talk yesterday about everybody is vegan as far as I'm concerned. And I said that with a scientific passion. So what does Galactic mean when he said everybody is vegan? Let's talk about it, because it's a very interesting topic. Everybody is vegan? Yes. Or vegetarian, you will say. Because people who say they're not vegans actually eat vegan animals.
Exactly.
Ah.
Yeah, I remember you said that was really cool.
I was going to go into something about the meat there, right?
So
and tap into that.
So
but yes.
So let's meet up under that now.
Let's meet up.
So yes, people who consider themselves not vegan eats vegan or eats other animals that are actually vegan.
Yeah.
So therefore they were vegan second hand, not first hand.
Exactly.
So they're eating vegan foods from a second nature. Because the animal that eat the vegan,
straight.
they eat the animal. So second nature vegan.
Well, check this out.
In one sense.
What you're saying there, because now with the herbivores, and we're dealing with the vegetation now, the green plant. We know about the photosynthesis taking place. Yeah, so we're dealing with the herbivores. We say they're eating processed light. Yeah, in the form of the plants.
Okay.
The photosynthesis. Yes. And then when you said about the meat now, like cows, for example, they're just only eating grass, for example, or sheep's eating such. So therefore, the flesh, the meat is processed light. You understand what I mean? Second hand, when we start to eat the meat of it. But here's the thing. Because of how the planet and how the earth has been messed up, and all of these GM seeds, and how, the health and the potency of the earth before we've had all of this contamination to it, to the soil and so forth. I'm saying to them, they're like cows. All right, cows will be kind of sacred in certain people's country, but I mean the meat that you eat, the beef and so forth, These were healthy creatures. And the thing is, when we chat about like we should, like why we don't eat meat, you shouldn't eat meat, so to speak, or even some people actually taking what they put in their mouth to become, topics for argument to what someone else put in their mouth. It becomes an identity, another formulation of how people seem to define themselves and judge others based upon what they may choose or not choose to do. And, as I said, health is more than, or life is more than food, and the body is more than clothes, And, I think, I don't know, there's this thing with vegan. I'm going to be what you call the controversial one, yeah? I'm going to go in and say about, we have a lot of this thing about vegans, vegetarians, and there's kind of like there's a kind of almost how can I say, a pseudo identity being formulated out of this, and judgment upon what others consume. You understand? And as I said, not everybody can eat the same thing and benefit from it, and everybody's system operates differently, and plus your blood group also indicates the certain things you can eat or not eat. You see what I mean? So sometimes there's a blanket, something like sometime where we're talking about the food, organic and everything, can get also part of the commercialization of so-called health and well-being, which becomes contrivedness. It becomes a kind of like indoctrination and manipulation in another way. You see what I'm saying? I mean, what do you think with that?
Well, I was gonna step it back a little in terms of origin of man in connection to lifestyle and things like that, because when you think about what we do now is our invention. Because if we gotta step it back, which we were doing at Carol yesterday, in the origin, that man didn't come here with no pot and pan.
Yeah.
Man didn't even have fire.
Yeah.
So therefore, this is our invention into the level where we're at.
Exactly.
So it's almost like we step down the ladder.
All right, I inject there.
In terms of dietary.
But isn't, like, when you said we come in with no pot and pan, isn't it the fact that man being a creator being is to expand his consciousness and create through his, God-given intelligence, source-given intelligence?
Yeah.
Yes,
and
man,
be creative
yes, and
and
that's what we're doing now. That's
ways.
what we're doing. That's what we're doing now. We're canning everything, and we're synthetic everything, and we're doing all of that because we have our free will, as we call it.
Yes. And
Go ahead, Carol.
yes, and I think as well that because of we think that we have more understanding as humans, we have become a little bit more spoiled, whereby we do not respect nature no more. I mean, look at the meat that we eat. It's not grown as normal before. Chickens are born today, and tomorrow we eat them.
Yeah.
They are grown with chemicals and etc. So I think human being, we need to really take a step back and look at ourselves, especially the community, the society. What are we doing? What are you eating? What are you putting in your fridge? And, how often do you cook your own food? Because I prefer cooking. Because when you cook, you can make your own sauces. You can make your own, enjoy cooking. Don't cook because of you're hungry and you're tired. You just have to eat so that you fill up your belly. Eat for consuming clear energy that can live for a long time. So I think we need to take responsibility
Most certainly.
ourselves, because of it has impact in our health. When you don't eat well, you will never live longer.
But then there's another side to that, because there are people who are living to 90, 110, and them smoke, them drink, them eat what them want. These are people living in Jamaica and various different islands today. And that would contradict the idea we would
Maybe
say
they're balanced
about
emotionally.
So it must be more than just food that contributes to your well-being.
Exactly.
And when we say like man's become inventive and we put things in can and tin, I hear that, but I'm like kind of like, but hang on a minute, not every man is the same, and is that the invention? Like, for example, now wouldn't you say that putting things in can and thing is a Western invention?
Would I say it's a Western
Yes,
invention?
yes. Or would you say that we've way
Well,
before that have contributed to
the industrial revolution? Sorry, is really Western. We have in the continent and the ancient world, they had other mechanism of doing things such as bamboo and things like that they were using, and things that are considered non-invasive for the body they were using, because they understand that nature have its own protection in terms of its own what they call it, covering or outer coating for the different foods. So man understand that, the ancient man understand it. The modern man now thinks in terms of the finance and think in terms of industry and not really for our life. So it's what we call, we're in a shelf life food type of thing. So food are really created for shelf life more so than our life.
Yes.
And so we have to take it back to, do we want this food for shelf life, or do we want the food for our life?
and I'm glad you made the distinction between modern man and ancient man, because sometimes we have these terms come out, and it's like everybody being put in the same category, in the same boat. You understand? And I personally don't really agree with that, because other people's behavior can impact on other people, and we are responsible for our own behavior. But at the same time, how are we to be responsible for somebody else's behavior? You understand? And then take it on as if to say, well, it's our behavior. I mean, unless you start to mimic and follow and copy. But then you're in a society that from the time you come out of, you notice how, most of us, we grow up with land. You grow up eating food growing from the soil and so forth. Yeah, animals running around eating natural food, not man-made processed type of things and additives. So then you find this journey away from the country, from the land, to go into concrete, dwellings and places in order to earn a better living. And when my folks came over here, my mother flew over here in the 60s. And, we come from the country, what you would call the countryside, them country parts, them in Jamaica, up St. James. Some folk may know that's Hanover, yeah? Montpelier. Them is big parishes of land, yeah? And everything is natural, and this is how you grow, and that's how you live. But then when you come into this concrete, this is where now, it's like, it's this thing where it's like, it seems like people have been diverted away from their natural inhabitants, so to speak, or natural way of living. And you come into an environment which is concrete, yeah? And then they create this artificial, everything has to be preserved artificially within this artificial construct. And then you adapt to this type of way of living, because how you gonna get on here if you don't? You understand? It's like, say, a lot of people don't have what they call back garden, to grow their own things. Unless you have an allotment to grow your own things, then you can't grow your own things. So it's like part of the life, what people have conformed to is based upon where they've moved to. Yeah? You understand what I'm...
I get you.
They moved to. And then when you move from, this thing of kind of uprooting people, disrupting people's livelihood, where they naturally, growing up and develop, what they're naturally connected to the earth and so forth. And then when the people then move, even if it's through civil wars or whatever processes are used to move people away from the natural land, in order to then, you see a lot of immigrants coming over to here, yeah?
Okay.
And then it's like, I feel it's, you can see it's always been this plan. It's been a thing where it's like, so now you move the people away from the land. Those who want the land come in and now start do their thing on the land. and start mess up the land, doing what they experiment, planting their just scientific generated process of their seeds and growth and all of that business. And then now people are saying we need to get back to the land. But then you get back to the land, but the land mess up. Yeah? The earth is mess up. What you're planting, you see, isn't necessarily now going to be of the same strength that it was before. You see? And then when we then get this idea of organic, and then it now becomes a buzzword. It becomes a kind of brand name. It now becomes something that you have to spend how much more money to buy something organic. It's going to cost you a whole heap of money.
Yeah.
In comparison to the processed things.
Yeah, I think I wanted to say something there as well, because I think we talk a lot about what we eat, we talk a lot about health and all that, but what we seem to forget is our body ourselves. Just looking at your body, I say to people every day, I look at my body. If I'm tired and I've been working too much, my leg will get swollen up, meaning that, Carol, you are using too much of your energy force and you need to relax. So what I do then, I take soup, I'll boil lots of water so that my body can cleanse itself to regenerate energy. So our body, it's very important to look at our body, to look at the colors. There's different color shades that appear on our body. As a Vunko massage practitioner, I understand that when a person drinks a lot, the way the color of their skin looks will tell you that this person is not really in balance with the harmony of their health. Or if a person eats fast food, or someone who's self-forgotten, who's in an emotional level and does not know how to share their story with their beloved one at home, you see the color shades of the skin changes. So it is very important to look firstly on our body before we even go to food. What is my body telling me? Where am I at today? Right. So there's a lot of things around health that we need to be aware of in terms of
the wisdom of the body, as what you're saying there, Carol, is very, very important, because we don't realize how wise the body is. Clyde, you're going to say.
Well, going back to what you were saying, when you look at the where we are here, the ancient world power was the world power of the people of the sun, meaning the tropical area where the world powers were. Now the major world power that we're under now is people of the colder climate. And we're taking on the nature of that frozen mentality. That everything have to be frozen.
Which is not good for our body because we are warm.
Yes. The foods that we eat is in a can, even though it's not in the freezer, it's frozen because its life is still like a pond. And so it's that kind of mentality that we're under.
Very profound.
And we need to really realize that really this is the mentality of the sun is the most powerful in terms of flow, in terms of energy, in terms of love, in terms of unity, in terms of livity, in terms of life. And we need to get back to a free flow because everything is just like, even though we talk about fast food and everything, the whole fast food is actually slow because it's not speeding us up. It's actually slowing us down.
Slow you down,
So even that is a misnomer because we're getting the food quick, but it's really slowing us down. It's making us like the ice mentality.
I wanted to ask, I don't know if it's okay.
Yes, go
My
ahead.
question was, as an astrologist and numerologist, you guys, does food play important part of your zodiac as well? Do you have to be aware of what you eat so that you stay healthier? As a Sagittarius, would you say that there's a certain type of food that I have to emphasize on, or that's not really?
For each one of the signs, there are different foods that are very much connected to each one of the signs, and that's where the chemistry comes in. I've done some documentary and research on astrology and health, and certain signs required more of one and the same. What we normally said for each sign, for a basic, that your sun sign is a key to the quality of food in connection to you. Like for instance, if we have to look for somebody who's a water sign, the food would be more consist of more of the watery,
such as grapes and
as opposed to the fire sign, they would need that fire energy in connection. Air sign, air quality, it's like that. So I look at the overall totality on that because we always say your best clothes are the ones you use the most.
Yeah.
And so your sun sign is that part of you that is the most important part of you that people see you for who you are.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like your front door, it's like your gateway of all the other signs in connection. So that's one approach.
You said something about the blood types. Yeah. I
Yeah,
want to
you
just-
know,
yeah.
different blood types can eat certain things. Like, for example, you know, some people would say that, I mean, okay, I wouldn't say that meat is the only source of protein. But for some people to take meat out of their diet is quite detrimental for them. And it's like a lot of people will jump into different prescribed dietary things that they hear or they read about, you see, or what kind of gets spoken about a lot, and they feel in a way it's imposed, they feel influenced by it, you know. And but your body, your blood group plays a big part because, for example, you know, I mean, I know what my blood group is. You know what your blood group is?
I have an idea.
You have an
I'm not
idea?
exactly sure because
Yeah.
I stay away from all of those prickle and tickles
Yeah.
and all of those things.
I
So
mean,
I have an idea to one
yeah.
sense.
I mean,
For
for
me,
my own
What
experience,
is your one? So
I will tell you.
Yeah.
But I was just to lead up into this. I mean, through my own experience. I mean, back in 1990s, the early 1990s, you know, it was a thing where, you know, I went through this change in how I felt, what to eat, and so forth. You know, you grow up and you're eating the things just given to you. And sometimes you think you like certain things, but really you've just been conditioned. Your taste buds been conditioned to certain tastes and flavor. And I went through this period where I did change a lot of what I just didn't feel for certain things anymore. And I became a fruitarian. I used to just juice things. I used to just eat nuts, seeds, and fruits, and would pour live yogurt on it. And that would be like one meal for the day. Yeah. And all of this cleansing, you know, them times, you know, people were even selling a whole heap of things about oils and on the, you know, these type of oils you got to ingest, I mean, and clearing and purifying on a cellular level. But after going through a lot of these different type of modes, you know, I woke up one grand rising, and my soul, it was the inner voice says to me, you don't need to do none of this anymore, you know. It was like I was deconditioning my taste buds, deconditioning myself from various things that I was brought up with. You know, you think you like something, but do you really like something? You understand? You get conditioned with certain things. But I got to a point where I realized, yeah, my soul just said, you don't need to do this no more. Now, I will let you know what the body needs, what your body needs when you need it. Because I was even getting fed up of even eating. I was even wondering to myself, why do we have to eat? You know, because you have to think, you're thinking like, oh gosh, but I had that yesterday and can't keep eating the same thing all the time. And oh boy, what am I going to eat now? Oh, and it was just getting it felt burdensome. So when I had this experience after I went through that stage, I've been living like this ever since, where I listen. There's certain things I would just stop eating because my inner being doesn't feel for it no more.
Yeah.
And then I be guided to something that I feel drawn to. And that's how I still deal with it. Now, the point is here now, I'm listening to a lot of people say, no, you mustn't eat this, you know, that ain't good for you, or, oh, and then the whole thing with the meat, you know, right? Whole thing with the meat. And I get it with the meat because the meat them is contaminated. You're not dealing with, you know, natural grown, you know, life, natural, wholesome, grown creatures anymore. A lot of things is cloned and modified and so forth. But I kind of never fell for a lot of the dietary things I'm hearing other people say. And because I went through my own process. Long time before things became kind of commercialized, if you can say, you know, where you hear it so much. And I just felt like I can eat what I feel I want to eat. And then I end up finding that my blood group is O positive.
Oh,
And then
okay.
O positive can eat
what they really want to eat. Differently to somebody who may be A or B. You know, there's different things that, based on your blood group, you have to be aware of that you can't just take out of your so-called regime, you know? So we can't just follow a certain diet like it's set
Yeah.
for all people.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that. I don't think that is so. And that's solely because of my own
Yeah.
that's because of my own way I came to knowing what is right and healthy for me.
Yeah. I think I'm also O positive, and they say it's a very difficult blood type because if something happens to you, to get a donor of blood on O type, positive O type, they said it's very difficult. Is that true? That we got to be very careful when it comes to illnesses because of it's not so easy to get. You know.
I thought the O was. I'm trying to think. I think the O is that you can give to everyone, but you can't take from everyone.
You can't take from. That's what I'm saying. You
Something
can't
like
take
that.
from anyone.
And then you got
It's
O
true.
positive, O negative. You know. And then you got
Exactly.
A, B, and B.
Exactly.
You know, positive, B negative. You know.
Yeah.
But all of this contributes to what also, you know, how your own system, your own unique system of your body operates. So, yes, you know, eating healthily, I agree with it. But I just feel there's not one size fit all. We're unique individuals as well, you know? And how one processes certain things, another person's system may not process it in the same way. You see what I mean? And I feel that when we're dealing with the physical food, there's more to it than that. Because you know what me and you was talking the other day, Clyde, yeah? And we were talking about the correspondence between, it was today, isn't it? And we was talking about the correspondence between the herbs, what you have in nature, all the chemicals within the herbs, the active ingredients within, you know, various plants and things we take for remedies. We have every corresponding chemical that is in any plant and herb and so forth already being manufactured, or not even manufactured, already being secreted within our body. Our body produces all of those chemicals, yeah? And the other day, the other Tuesday, when we had Duro and the other sister, apologies for not recalling her name, who was selling the hemp, you know, who's going to also be at the event. When she was talking about the CBD, that chemical within the hemp that they process. And then she was mentioning that we also got CBD, we also have CBD receptors within us. And, you know, it made me then remember, like, say, well, look, this body is a chemical factory, yeah? You know, we produce dopamine, where you get dope from, yeah? Make you feel high and good. You got your DMT, even LSD. You got your, all right, we got the adrenaline, and too much adrenaline in the system for too long then produces cortisol, which actually contributes to a lot of illnesses people then suffer through. Arthritis, rheumatism, even diabetes. It can, you know, be a knock-on effect with that. And why I'm bringing this up is that, you know, within ourselves, I feel nature is, within ourselves, we already secrete all the chemicals that you could ever find. And even stuff that you may not even find, you know. And how nature, with the herbs and the plants and so forth and the various foods, how that corresponds to all of these receptor sites and the chemicals, the biochemicals, the living chemicals that is already secreted in the body or the body already produces. So the correspondence there now with how when we are eating more things from or tuning in more to nature and its natural, isn't it a case where, as we said, that the herbs is like a tool we can work with to help give us, you know, remedies to various symptoms we're going through. But the thing is that what's really taking place when we're ingesting herbs? Isn't it like it's tickling the energies within ourselves to secrete and remind the body what the intelligence, the divine intelligence, intended for the body to be healthy?
Okay.
And yeah, go on.
Yeah, you talked earlier that we're in the sign of Virgo. We know that in astrology, Virgo rules the intestines.
Intestines, yes.
But Virgo is the sign that deals with the critique, the analysis. And so it's very, and also physical health. So I consider Pisces more deal with the spiritual aspect of health, because Pisces spirituality, which is the opposite sign of Virgo.
Right.
Virgo is the critique, and so is the intestines is like the kitchen of the body, where the food goes and then gets assimilated for different parts.
Yes.
So it's the critique, and deals with the physical part of our health. When you come on to our body, we're talking about. I remember we talked earlier about people who live long time, and even though the lifestyle escalate to what we may consider negative, they still survive a long time. Some of these people may have a good constitution,
Exactly.
meaning when you go back to what their roots were in terms of the level of development, in terms of good food, it's that plays a role also for the long term. That's also something to realize. But in connection to the body, it's very much a critique that we have to be about ourselves. Because yes, some of us are tuned into other foods, certain foods, because of the chemistry of our body, different also because of the family lineage, but also based on critique, it's important to understand what is also good for the body, because your family lineage don't always have to be the determining factor as what you need to take or what you should be taking, because your constitution also set you up for your life as well. Another thing that what we need to touch on as well is where the planets stay in it. Okay, if I have to ask you, both of you and the audience really, what day is the most busiest day of the week? Roughly, what day you think would be most busiest day of the week? Busiest.
Okay. You gonna answer?
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday,
Well,
Saturday.
I would.
There's only 7 days.
I would
which
say
is the most busiest. Consider most busiest day.
I would say Monday and Friday.
Okay. What would you
I
say?
would say Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays for me. Those are my busiest days.
Okay. I would consider Fridays one of the most busiest. And the reason why I'm asking this, because I'm trying to come up to scale to where we are. Friday is the most busy day because it's the transition from work to whatever you do for the weekend. Some people may work Saturday or Sunday, but Friday is like the divining factor as to what goes on for the rest of the weekend or the rest of the week. So it's considered busy. It's transitory day. You understand? Because it's about doing the work, getting out the office, so I can get the rest of the evening off, or get ready for the weekend or holiday or whatever people may want to do. Well, let's look at it into scale where we at in the terms of world history. World history now, based on astrology, we come to what is called the 26,000 year cycle.
That's right.
So we're in a transition into another cycle.
New cycle.
So we're busy doing everything. Yes.
You said that yesterday. You said we are in number 9. Is it that?
No, that's a bit different. The number 9 cycle. That's under the numerology for the year.
But what you're saying
like
there
that.
about the 26,000 year cycle, I have kind of touched on that in some shows before, and it's also known as what we call it, stellar activation cycle that we're in now.
And all that.
Yes.
But
so
go ahead.
entering into a new cycle of energy.
Yes.
Right. Go ahead.
So really, in I know they have a saying. I know in the Jamaican community, they have a saying that the last picnic is the wash belly. You understand?
What does that mean?
So we must be the wash belly then, because
we're the wash belly of the 26,000 years. Yes, you got it. You understand? So we're in a very transitory time now.
Yes.
Because what happens this time we're at now is what they said, that a lot of our consciousness, this is the most important time
to be
for enlightenment,
incarnated here,
because a lot of us could be in tune with certain plants that could take us, because certain things that were restricted is not restricted no more
anymore.
So we're like in a
true.
non-restricted time. You understand? And that's why even books that was hard to find, you find like
easy now.
all on
You
the
can just
internet,
get them just like
everything.
that.
Yes, so we're in the
Very
wash
so.
belly of the century.
Wash belly
you understand?
of the century.
And so
I love
this
that.
of the grand cycle. cycle of the great
Yes,
age.
yes.
And so we're in transition between two age cycle.
Yeah.
And so things are speeding up, things are happening, and the forces also wants to know how to handle that cycle.
Exactly.
Because a lot of them who understand that the ancient people have lived so many 26,000 year cycle and written about it. We in the modern, or those who in the modern control, don't know anything about it. And so this is why all these cameras and all of this, to find out how to mastermind the next age, which is the transitory time that we're in.
So what you're trying to say is that people, they have to make it their task to really, really find out about themselves, especially this time.
Especially
Yes.
in this
Because
time.
of
I
there's
would
a
agree
lot
with
of
that.
consciousness
Yeah.
movement that is going on
Right.
to self-discovery.
And that's why we're operating
self-knowledge.
like Friday. Everything is
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah.
All right. See,
That's what I
you know,
wanna
you see what you just do now. You quicken the vibration. So,
Yeah.
see, this is a lovely area now, because this is where we need to change. We need to expand our consciousness. We're coming out of an old energy.
Yes.
And you've noticed that when we are dealing with the transitory cycles, and we're moving into, like, each age of the signs is like 2,160 years.
Yes.
So we're moving and making that transition from what they would say the Piscean age into the Aquarius, which we can say we're feeling that energy already now, because it's that inundation of knowledge, you see. And Aquarius, being my sign, is about liberation, and freedom from all limiting thoughts and fear-based beliefs. And the individual is very important. When we see that Aquarius is about groups, it is about groups, but it's about the value of the individual realizing their connection to the greater source of their being, the greater group, so to speak, if you want to put it that way. Because groups can also limit you, when it comes to, like, some people are holding on to some old, outmoded ideas. And then if you're in the group and you're not tuning into yourself as an individual, what feels right for me, as your consciousness is expanding within inside of you, as your inner vibrations begin to change, your outer experiences are also going to begin to change. Because this is the reason why there's so much more talk about consciousness, and the emphasis of how your inner world is what's shaping the outer world. So when we're chatting about health here, it goes more than just the physical food. We have, thought waves, a lot of talk about vibrations, a lot of talk about bringing us back into the divine order, the cosmic laws of the universe, which is part of Sagittarius's forte. Yeah, Sagittarius is about cosmic knowledge, cosmic laws, you see, the expansion of consciousness, Jupiter expansion, ether, and it's this, how your thought waves, they say thought waves, you've heard of that. Your emotions, magnetic impulses that we experience feelings through the nervous system. How thought waves and feelings, what we hold in our consciousness, also transforms into biochemicals and hormones based on the persistent way we think and feel. And this contributes to a lot of how we even process even our food. When you're saying about, you're correctly right about, Virgo is about the digestive system, and how we analyze or discern, and how we assimilate and draw and take up nutrition, the whole large intestine, small intestine, large intestine process. But then the correspondence of that in our minds, because I feel when we go to the source, the roots of things, a lot of us kind of get fixated on the outside, and we're in a time where it's about returning back to source, returning back to the very, true reality of ourselves, which is beyond the physical body, and knowing ourselves as that the fact that, because like in the astrology, what I would, my way of it, your astrological chart also kind of is an outprint. It represents the pattern of your consciousness. You know, like you have people have different kind of mindsets and emotional patterning. And therefore, based on their different mindsets, emotional patterning is how they then process things, how they perceive reality, how they experience things very differently to somebody else who has a different mindset and emotional patterning. So your consciousness, the pattern of your consciousness is what begins the process of how you create your physical reality and how you even experience your physical reality in yourself and others. And I found something very interesting when I heard this. It was a few years ago, how they were doing an experiment about somebody who was deficient in vitamin B12. And, you know, the way they do their scientific experiments, they keep somebody in a kind of like isolated place, and they're studying the stools, their crap, yeah, to see if the body is producing, you know, vitamin B12. And they found that the body's producing vitamin B12, but yet the body was not taking up the vitamin B12. So they would say that the person's deficient in something. And when we say we're deficient in something, they say you have to go outside of yourself to find the source of this thing to now replace it and put inside of you. But they found that the person wasn't deficient in what they thought they were, because the body was actually producing vitamin B12. So they wanted to ask now, well, why, if the body's producing this already, why isn't the body benefiting for it? Why is the body not taking up this vitamin, this hormone, that is chemical that it's already producing, and for the person to benefit from it? And they came to realize through various other, you know, how they went with their process of going into it. They realized the cause behind the whole thing was the person's mindset. The way that person felt and was perceiving the certain thoughts, the certain programs we have in ourselves at the deeper levels of the subconscious, is what was, and the way the person perceived themselves, this was interfering with the body's ability to take up this very chemical that they were saying their person was deficient in, when the person wasn't deficient in it at all.
Exactly.
You know?
No, I'll say after you. I wanted to say something, but let me keep
when you're talking about minerals there, when you talk about vitamin, you talk about minerals. Yeah. But it's the same thing with they're saying about Africa, isn't it? Because Africa is a wealthy country and producing lots of minerals. Yeah. But yet we're not benefit in the whole as a whole.
Supermarket for the world.
Yes, we're not benefit as a whole with what belongs to us. You know. But when we talk about vitamins, we're also talking about this is just a new thing on the block, a new kid on the block, because it's only in the 1900 that came about.
They're talk about vitamins, vital minerals.
Yeah. So what was there before that? You know what was there before we were talking about vitamins? They were talking about planets.
Right.
Planetary foods. That's how we was recognized before with the ancient astrologers, because they were looking at this Mars plant or Jupiter plant or Venus plant, because they understand that the body is linked with the stars, and the food are the connection to interlink. So before they come up with a formula of vitamin and minerals, they're looking at, well, you might be Mars deficient in that sense because of your weak Mars in your sign. Then it could also attribute to certain aspects of your blood or things of that nature. And so that's how it was before. And so they may say, well, you need more Mars energy, or you may need more Saturn energy, or you may need whatever. But that's what it was. That's how it was before vitamin and minerals. But because of the rule out of the power of the heavens through secret society and things like that, then that puts on the backdrop, and it's only in the magical arena you could find that connection with stars and plants and things of that nature.
And you see how they put it in the backdrop, because these things would empower you, and it keeps you realizing who you are. It keeps you in tune with yourself. So when that gets kind of, you know, demonized, those arts, those knowledge, this is how you're able to control people more easier.
And I also think it's important for people to do self-reflect, you know?
Yes.
Because I think we don't self-reflect a lot. We do not ask ourselves, where am I today? And where am I going to tomorrow? Because I think we all think that because of we're men, that's enough. And because of we think we're women, that's enough. but we do not understand that as we're born, and I always say this to people, that the moment we are born, something of us is taken away from us. You know, they call us their daughters, their sons.
Yes, yes, yes.
They call us, you go to school, suddenly you've got a teacher who has to teach you something, you've got a community who has to teach you something, and then along this way you kind of lose who you really are, because I think we come in this world very, very well knowing who we are. I said, even when we enter to the uterus, our mothers aren't there to guide us to go to the uterus. We know exactly where we have to go to sit comfortably until 9 months later. Then we come out. But the moment you come out, suddenly you are classified as minor.
Everything is superimposed upon you.
Completely.
I mean that is so true. You know, and that there's this saying. I mean, you know, I've known of as a youngster, but this saying where it's like, you know, children come through you or through your parents, but they don't come from you.
Exactly.
Yeah?
Exactly.
And that you may house a child's body, but you don't house the child's soul.
Exactly.
So what happens, and then when we look at the astrology, you're seeing that you already come in here with the way your pattern, the pattern of your consciousness, which is the creative impulse, the creative power within you. You already got this configuration, your own unique configuration. And then, as you said, you come through now, and then we're receiving from others ideas of how you should be, what you should feel, what you should think, and what you know, it's like, you know, in also the same respect, you have some parents or some people have children, they kind of see the children like empty vessels just to be filled with their unfulfilled wish, hopes, and dreams sometimes, you know, or extensions of their themselves, you know, and never really, you know, that never really get in touch to realize, but you're dealing with, your child's not this body, your child's a living soul which has its own awareness, it has self-awareness, it has to come into to fulfill its own purpose why it came in here. I
think what I wanted to say there, when in terms of we remembering who we are, is that throughout the years of people telling you on who you are, along that there's lots of negative things, that you're not good enough there, you have been failing there with school, your grades are low, and etc. And all these things impact on us. It's like a heavy jacket. So it is important for us to rewrite what has been written in your brains. And that's when I say self-discovery. Go out and seek for knowledge.
Or go in. But I do hear you. Going out, but yes.
Meet people like you know, come in and talk and tell, because I think the more you talk about your needs of your inner soul to shine, the closer you get to your inner subconsciousness.
I hear that, and I mean, when I was going through my stuff 20 odd years ago and still dealing with deep inner works, I mean, you couldn't talk like this, like I'm talking. Yeah, we in here and we talking like this, you know. When you're going through the stages there and you're getting these insights and there's things that's going on that there's no one around to assist you to help you comprehend what's going on. When certain activations are taking place within inside of your body, within certain energy centers, certain places, you then, when you start talking when I was talking on these things all like 25 years ago, I mean, it's a total different environment now to there's more receptivity. But in that early stage, you kind of end up, it's like I got this image of like, you got the herd mentality, yeah? And, what does herds do? They follow the ass in front of them and the one behind is just doing the same thing that the one in front's doing. And it's like the moment you begin to become more self-aware, it's like you stop. And everyone's still moving. The herd is still moving. But you now seem like something wrong with you. Why you stop for? Why you now follow the ass in front of you like everybody else I do? And you've just stopped because you now have to ask, where am I going? Whereas most of the herds, they don't ask where they're going. They're just following that social construct, that programming way, that artificial identity we have been conditioned in. And a lot of people just move with that herd-like type of mentality. But the moment when you begin to step into self-awareness, you come in like one of them things that just stop. Yeah? And now you look like you're the weird one because you're not following everything. You're not just following the ass in front of you, you know? And then you have to find this courage in yourself now to not put your head back down and continue doing what other people do. Because you're going to feel, it also brings up the experience of you feeling outplaced. You see? These things you have to work through. You have to actually face these stages to come home to yourself. You see? And then you break away from the herd. And for a while, you're like on your own because you're not finding anybody like you. You know what I mean? And you're experiencing this new awareness, so to speak. You know, and you're walking like you're just a loner for a while until maybe you then meet other strays, you know, who strayed away from the herd, and they maybe you know they may have found a water hole, and you kind of buck them up, and then you find, oh, you have a certain similar resonance, and you find a little connection now. You see what I'm saying? But then, so you sit there, you reason there, that helps nourish you, but then you get to a certain point where it's like you got to also move on. You got to continue growing, because sometimes you meet people who represent certain limitations. Some people stop because they have a fear and they can't get past that programming, that conditioning, that thing that we need to clear out from us, from things we've had superimposed upon ourselves.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So this process, you know, this process can be daunting at first because it takes courage to stand in your own power, because you're not gaining so-called security from the crowd anymore, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, I feel these are important processes, stages that are important to, you know, assist people to guide through when you've gone through them yourself.
Yeah.
Well, you made a good statement there, but we got to move on, and I think that's where Vibrantly African comes, because Vibrantly African represents the village.
Exactly.
And as the saying goes, it takes the village to raise the child.
Definitely.
Why it takes the village to raise the child? Because the child needs to be exposed to different aspects of itself to find itself.
That's right.
And this is where we're lacking
Exactly.
the exposure. And so with all the different speakers, some that you have, and the different interaction that you're going to be having at Vibrant Africa exposes the village
They do.
for
They do.
one and
They
all,
do.
because some people are going to say, I didn't know that you exist,
You
and I
know?
didn't know that you exist, and I didn't know we have this happening. Talk about it.
I'm so glad that you're getting back to Vibrantly African, because of yesterday, 2 days ago, I got fascinated.
Okay.
There is a lady, and she's going to be doing a spiritual work, but she uses shells.
Okay, curry
Whereby
shells.
in Africa they use bones.
Okay.
And I never thought that something like that, it's done in London.
Okay.
Because
see.
you know the sangomas.
Right,
I'm
yes.
from South Africa, and we've got
Right,
the
sangomas,
sangomas,
yes,
and we've
yes.
got our traditional healers with
Yes.
herbs and all these things.
Mhm.
And when they do this thing, they go. I remember I went to Mozambique. It was something incredible, really, really incredible. Now we went there with my partner for holiday. And then we did a sea. We were always in the sea. But then I decided that, you know what, I'm tired of the sea. I want to do something on land. Now, these guys came to me and said to me, Carol, we've got a
Good
lady
sign,
that...
isn't it?
Yes, we've got a lady that we're going to take you to. And so I was kind of curious. And we got there. The lady was very innocent African woman. Then suddenly she took us to the room. No, she said we had to wait for about 15 minutes. And she went into the room, and then we followed her. Suddenly, this woman, she was doing a channeling. Oh my God. She took the bones and she put them down, and then she started sniffing this knife, and her voice started changing, really, really changing. Her eyes changed. And suddenly she started speaking, and she was speaking from a man point of view. And I was like, really, can these things happen? Can this kind of thing happen? But what I'm trying to say is that everybody respects their spirituality. European people, they've got a system where there's a fun, there's finances, but there's also paranormal, where they always go back to it to reinforce their energies and their power within, so that they can be able to deal with the pressures of daily. We, the Africans and the blackness, we have destroyed that because of religion. we look at that as something that is dark. That's something that shouldn't be, explored, and so that we can find ourselves. So when I saw the lady, and I thought to myself, this is incredible. We've got somebody who's going to be doing an elderly spirituality with the ancestors. So Vibrantly African shocked me really, because of it brought everybody. We've got everyone.
All these different aspects.
Yeah,
coming
I'm gonna
together
pull
under
you
one
up
roof.
on that one about we have destroyed it because of religion. Isn't that the other way around?
And I would say, yeah, go ahead.
You said we have destroyed it because of religion.
Tell me.
I think it would be the other way around, because I don't think we have destroyed our system. Is that our system by religion has caused that destruction.
I hear you.
And that is something that we because most of our spiritual healers
Yeah.
were put to the gallows,
Yeah.
were hanged, and because those were the first in the line of fight. I remember when I went to Zimbabwe and see that near Buhanda, which was the spiritual lady, very spiritual, powerful spiritual Sangom or priest there. She
Yeah.
was the one that was leading the fight
Yeah.
that was going on, because when they first came, they allowed them to come in because they thought they were peaceful,
Yeah.
until they start taking land and taking and want to take the whole
And
country,
killing people.
and they
Yeah.
decide, well, we can't have this.
Yeah.
And so they lead the charges, and it was the spiritual warriors really that see what needs to be done, and she ended up being hanged,
Definitely.
and as far as the power of resistance, her name is always very much in the forefront when it comes on to the power of resistance and
Definitely.
spirituality. I didn't know about her prior to going to Zimbabwe, and and I know her name is upheld around the world where our people are that understand, and especially in South Africa as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
What I wanted to ask, probably it's just touch base on the program
Okay.
at some point before we leave, just to remind people of what it's taking on, so that people can get to the feeling of this village that we are about to embark upon.
Well, yes. Well, let's do that after a little break, a little interlude of this tune here.
Let every little thing you do with love, and every little thing you say with love. Let every little thing you do with love, and every little thing you say with love. True, true love. Love, sweet, sweet love, love, holding me this way with love, keeping me this way with love, the way you're holding me this way with love is just to keeping me this way with love, sweet, sweet love, love, true, true love, love. Love, sweet love, true love, love. We gotta reach somewhere with love, and everybody got to be there with love. We gotta reach somewhere with love, and everybody got to be there with love. True, true love, love, sweet, sweet love, love.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. And 1 second here because I think I could play our next tune here. Because yes, every little thing we have to do is love, and then love is a big topic too, very complex because love means different things to certain people because again of conditioning and so forth. And you know, our sense of self-worth and value, which Venus gonna be doing a retrograde as it's moving direct at the moment through Scorpio, is gonna be bringing up in relationships our sense of self-love, self-worth, our sense of power, our sense. What does that mean? What does it mean? So there's gonna be a re-evaluation also about our sense of power and self-worth and value. You see. And all of this, again, is essential to the healing. And yes, that track there you just heard was by Peter Tosh and the Wailers. And, you know, love. Every little thing we must do it with love. Everything we do with love. And therefore, you see, the love is where you have to tune into your soul because from the personality level and how this artificial construct steer, love is not really what is, the reality of it is not what you're being brought up to believe in, you see. But I'm going to play one more tune and then we're going to come back on the flip side of this. And we're going to talk about, you know, as the last stages of the show tonight, about all the people who is going to be sharing their wonderful selves and knowledge at the Vibrantly African event that is coming up on the 29th of September, which is a Saturday, 2 Saturdays away. So I'm going to play this little groove here, and then we're going to go into what I've just mentioned about who's the different variety of who's on the lineup at the event that Vibrantly African being held at the African Center. So yes, just tune into this next groove here.
1, 2, get down. Paid the cost to be the boss. Paid the cost to be the boss. I paid the cost to be the boss. Look at me. You know what to see. See a bad mother. Look at me. You know what to see. See a bad mother. Paid the cost to be the boss. Paid the cost to be the boss. Look at me. Know what to see? See a bad mother. Huh. Told you so. Told you so. Having fun, got money fun. 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 'Cause I paid the cost to be the boss. Paid the cost to be the boss. Paid the cost to be the boss. Cross the tracks, turn my back. Cross the tracks, turn my back. Paid the cost to be the boss. I'm a bad mother.
Yeah. So we back again, and woo! Look how the hours come upon us again so quickly. You see what happen? You see when you're having fun, them say time just run. You know. So yeah. But we are going to, before we close up on the show this evening, we're gonna, talk about, just give a little rundown on the different practitioners, the different facilitators, the different souls, beautiful souls who are going to be present at this event to make it a wonderful, wonderful, enjoyable day for you all. So, and, expansive and maybe life transformative. I mean, you may find, everything is different, a whole lot of different things there for you to find what resonates with you. So, Sister Carol.
There are 24 people to talk about in the program. So what I'm gonna do, because of when I try to do this, then my brain gets so tired because there's so many people. So we're going to share. I'm going to tell one group, and you'll tell one group, and then we tell the last group because there are 24 people to mention. Okay. So we can be able to cover them all.
If you could start that again a little, because I forgot to put your fader up, darling. So I don't think they might have heard you.
They didn't.
They may not have heard that.
Okay.
I apologize, but
yes.
Here we are.
No, it's okay. Hey guys, I'm about to talk about a program. As I said, there are 24 people, and I would love the brothers to help me to shout them out all to you so that you really get to know who are they, and
okay.
So I'll be taking the mindfulness a group that starts in the morning. So let's see our program. And so this is a blue room where the fun and the entertainment will be taking place at. So let me just bear with me, guys. I'm just gonna get my program. Here we go. Am I phoning somebody? I'm really sorry.
She's making a call on her phone now to speak with friends while we're here doing the entertainment. I mean, Wagwan.
Wagwan, indeed, Wagwan. Wagwan, Carol Matebula, Wagwan. I like that Wagwan thing.
This statement, this Jamaican statement has just kicked off big time all over the place. You're in certain Somali people and different people are, Wagwan. Yes. And when they greet me,
no,
Wagwan.
Where's my program? I'm
what
really sorry.
Anyway.
You do have the program. Yes, I sent it to you on your WhatsApp. Okay. I'm trying to find it. I had it earlier. But suddenly I can't trace it. I'm phoning people. Sorry, people. I'm a little bit tired. The Vibrantly African has stolen my brains. Completely hijacked my brains.
Well, just know, say, the vibrant energy is always there, It's
Here we go. There. Here we go. I got it. So I'm going to be talking about the early morning, where it starts at 10 o'clock until 2 o'clock. So there we have something that is very interesting, and people are asking me lots of questions. Why pillow fight? We're gonna. Why pillow fight? Because we're gonna be doing a pillow fight. I say people they should bring
pillow
their
fight.
pillow. Yes.
Okay.
So this is just for us to play and to to let go of the stress, whatever that we bring in the morning at the event. Let's unloose and loosen up and just really have a play mood where we use pillows with strangers, and then at the end of the day, they are not strangers no more. Friendship has been made. And then so that starts from 10 o'clock a.m. To 10:15. So it's about 15 minutes session workshop. And then after that, we have shadow self meditation. Shadow self meditation talks about our skeleton. I say the skeleton is a very important part of our body because it holds memories. And for us to be free, we have to let go of our skeleton, whereby we feel calm, confident, and you can only feel that when you understand the language and the movement of your skeleton. So the shadow self meditation will be starting at 10:25 to 10:50 to 10:35. And then as we move on, we've got something that is really interesting called mandala art creation. It's gonna start at 10:50 to 11:30. Mandala art, we're gonna be using flowers. So at some point, we're going to create a circle in the room, and everybody will have a pile of their flowers to create this masterpiece, just to relax and also to be soothed by the essence and the aroma of the flowers as we design this mandala. So this is really fantastic. And then after the mandala art, we have something very interesting that is taking place at 11:45 to 12:30. The sound therapy with, this, what do you call them, this big gongs from
gongs.
Tibet. The gongs.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
We have a sister who's gonna be bringing these massive gongs, plus also the crystal bowls as a sense of meditation. So they're going to be playing this. So please bring along yourself with a towel, or either your yoga mat, or you can also bring a nice cozy blanket for you to feel completely at ease and relaxed. And then after the sound therapy, we have a sister who's going to be doing a clear therapy, where they give you a mat and you design your own piece. And that piece will be probably you making a wish of something. As I said, we're already going to the second year. We are towards the end of the year. So this is really, really a good time already to start really planning where you're going, all those dreams that you wanted to do. Maybe this is a time for you to design something with Sister Nisha, who's going to be presenting this art form of clear therapy. And that takes place at 12:40 to 1 o'clock. And then after that, we move on to Creative Movement by Brother True. It's kind of a yoga therapy, but he has different kinds of movements that he has put there. So for those who love yoga out there, bring your yoga mats and also the towels and etc. So we can have fun with Brother True. Once again, the session of Brother True will be at 1:15 to 1:35. Then after Brother True, we have somebody from Australia, who's going to be introducing the digital. How do you spell that? I'm always, yes, my tongue can't say that.
Yes, the didgeridoo.
Exactly, and that takes place at 1:40 to 2 o'clock. He's bringing about 40 of them. So you guys, we're going to be shaping our breath. Because of our breath, it's very important. Most of us, we really, really do not breathe to the core of our belly. We breathe very shallow. So if you want to shape your breath and you want to connect from your belly, please join into that session of digital whatever that is.
The didgeridoo, y'all. The didgeridoo.
So sorry, I can't say that. Really, forgive me. And then after that, which is the last session of mine, we're going to be having Kazimba, African martial art. So ladies and brothers, let's come and learn how to protect ourselves, because of martial art. As we said, it's good for the mind, it's good for the body, but it's also a form of equipping yourself with self-defense moves out there. So when you find yourself in trouble, you can be able to defend yourself. So this begins at 2:10 to 2:40. And then the next session will be, who's taking the next session? That was my session. Thank you so much. Okay. So you're going to be taking, I'm going to guide you where you're going to be. So this is you from there to here. So from there to the last blue line. Okay.
So, next session is Child Whisper. Yeah?
Child Whisper, yes.
Yes. Is that by Risha Mosa?
Yes.
Mosa?
Yes.
Womb and vaginal journey.
Vaginal journey, yes.
Time.
Yes.
Yeah? Journey time?
Yes. Yes.
Womb and vaginal journey time, yeah?
Yes.
That's from 4:10.
4:10, yes.
Yes. Orgasmic meditation
Anika.
by Anika.
Yes.
Yeah, this is 644
Orgasmic meditation. Yes.
interesting.
Orgasmic meditation. You hear that?
1640 to 1700. Personal coaching and Werner Duncan. Okay, personal coaching by Werner Duncan. Time is 1710 to 1730. Werner, yeah, we look forward. No, Werner. The art of food from earth, love gift, vegan. Time is 1740 to 1800. Personal coaching by Werner Duncan, and the time 1710 to 1730. Oh, is that that's twice?
Is that twice? No, it's not twice.
Okay, the art. Okay, the art of food from the earth, love gift, vegan. Okay, Ab Ankh. Okay, that's Rem.
That's me.
Spiritual support. Time 1810 to 1830. The origin of medicine. Oh. The Origins of Medicine by Galactic 1840. Okay.
Yeah.
1840 to 1900.
It's
okay.
a packed, packed, like, you know, your rice and peas and everything, and that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Boy. So, yeah, it's very jam-packed, y'all. Very jam-packed. I mean, from what was said, you know, so just read over some of that. We're gonna have at what 6:10 past. Whoa.
Oh, so sorry. I wanted to show you one.
The microphone. Yeah, that's what's going on here.
So that one is your one.
Okay.
So that's the entertainment side.
So then now we have choral music by Jali Bakari at 10 past 7. That's 1910 to 7:30. Okay, this is PM now. And we got Sound Soul Music by Marcia Escoffery. Time at 2:45. 8:45. That's 20:45 to 9:10. I think 21. That's 21:10. And then we got the African drum, John Akoto, and this is gonna be taking place around 7:40 p.m. 1940 to 8, according to the time here.
Probably there's a bit of a mistake there.
Maybe there. Yeah, well, that will be all worked out on the night anyhow. And then we got choreography. Yeah, choreography or choreographer and dancer by Belelo. And Bulelo und Debeni, and this will be taking place at 10 past 8 to 8:30 p.m. I think there's some doubled up book times here, and then we'll be having a guitarist and singer, Dulei Sambis. This will be at 9:25 to 9:50, and I think maybe, and then we're gonna have Poet and Artist by Theodore. This is gonna be at 10:40 to 11 o'clock, and then I think the last we have on the bill is Torreira Mutin Himbira. My gosh, Empedisi. Loud, pleasing people, Just allow me, scene, because I mean some of the you if you was here, you try and pronounce this. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm doing my best. But yes, we have Torreira Mutinhimbira Pedisisi Zizi, not Sissy, Zizi. All right, I've done my best, y'all, but it's gonna be at 10 past 11 to 11:35. Got Carol cracking up in the studio here, because of my pronunciation, but it's all good. So yeah, you can see it's jam packed like sardines, man.
Jam-pack.
Jam pack.
Yes.
You know?
Vibrant.
You know?
And it's gonna be vibrant.
And it's gonna be vibrant. Yes. Vibrantly, vibrationally, you know, full of life and so much variety. So yes, do if you can make it, do make your best to come out and you know, experience.
And
the
having
night.
to talk about the program, we also have the White Room where people can come in for massage sessions, chair massage, Reiki, astrology, and etc. So there's so many things that are happening, because if you're tired of the Blue Room, you can walk out and just go and have a session of massage, or you can buy some lovely stuff, as we do have people selling fantastic thing in a orange room, and you can also get your smoothies, as we're gonna have someone presenting fresh smoothie in front of you, and nice cakes, and of course lovely food from Love Gift restaurant, cuisine. I mean, what do you call that?
Yeah.
Vegan cuisine.
Okay.
That place.
Is that Maya?
That is Sister Maya.
Sister Maya.
Matana.
Big shout out to you if you're tuning into
Big
this.
shout out,
Long
yes.
time no see, sister, and so we're gonna catch up on the evening. So yes, wonderful to hear all of wow, such a variety of people. So yes, soul fruits of the earths, incarnated souls. Yeah, you know, do try and do your best to come out on the 29th of September to you know, attend this event, because you see, we are in a very, very different time at this time. And what Clyde also said, and what I have said myself on different shows, previous shows, is that we are in a different time, really. You know, we have completed a 26,000 year cycle, which is really 25,900, what, 52?
60.
Yeah. So
25,960.
right. So rounded up to the nearest thousand is why we get the 26,000.
Yes.
So now we're on a new round, okay? New round cycle, and this cycle is, put this way, you could say that the cycle we've just come out of was based upon judgment cycle, or where consciousness has aspects of like going into a slumber. And now we are entering into a new cycle where consciousness is about consciousness expanding.
Explode,
It's now, you could say, the inward breath of the source being drawn back in. You're coming back home, and the path of integration. And I don't mean what was taking place in the 60s, the civil rights and all of that. I'm talking about integration consciousness, unity consciousness, where you grow into remembering that you are an integrated whole being, and you are an integrated part of all that is. You see? So we then come more into this, we start to emerge more into this unity consciousness, starting within ourselves, knowing that we are one and never have been separate from the source of all existence. So this is the era we're in now. This is why you have an inundation of knowledge in so many different areas and so forth, and why it's a great day, it's a great time, but also, you know that term, the great and dreadful day, you know, this term, great and dreadful. And I used to think, how can something be great and dreadful? And I thought, well, it depends on which side of the table you sit on, innit? Yeah, because it's great, but it's also it's gonna be dreadful, because you know, there's so much change that some people are not ready or willing to embrace. It's very daunting to them, so they may experience the very same greatness in a dreadful way. So this is the thing, you know. So it's the choices we make in this time for ourselves, and to come out of old beaten tracks we've been on, old ideologies, old ideas, old, you know, that's been outworn. You know, we need to realign with cosmic law and order, divine law and order, which is to be in harmony with the law of our own being, okay? And even the word law seems a bit contrived because of how we perceive law, but we're talking about the divine principles here, you know? So yes, And so yes, come out to this event because this is our thing, man. This is gonna be quite interesting and on many levels. And we are going to read out the address to make sure you know where for each if you don't know already.
Definitely.
So, Sister Carol, would you please?
Okey-doke. So if you are wanting to find out more about the event, please log into our website, which is www.vibrantly-african.com. Once again, www.vibrantly-african.com. And then the address, it will be at number 66 Great Suffolk Street, London, and the postal code is SE1 OBL. And it's just the nearest station will be Sadek, which is I think is about 3 minutes to walk from Sadek station to the Africa Center. And then so that's where we're at. So number 66 Great Suffolk Street, London, postal code SE1 OBL. And tickets are as of course it will be much easier if you get yourself a ticket online, because if you get a ticket then you do not have to follow the queue. And those who didn't get their tickets, so I think there's going to be a long queue. So get yourself tickets. And once again, we've got two different tickets. We've got one which is £15, and this allows you to participate in all the mindfulness and well-being workshops plus the talks, but it does not permit you to join in for the after party, which is all the music that is taking place from 7 o'clock, and that will be 25 if you want to do all these 24 workshops all the way to the entertainment.
Yeah, well, you prefer a full plate of food than half a plate, innit? So, you know.
Pardon me?
I was just saying, some people would prefer a full plate of food rather than half a plate. So I was just saying that as in the correlating the 15 to the 25 and what you'll be able to get for the 25 differently to the 15.
Okay.
It's like
Yeah.
full plate of food to half a plate.
Question for you, Carol.
Yes.
Vibrantly Africa is this the second year?
This is the second year.
Yeah, and last year what was your turnout?
Last year we had about 150 people.
And this year you're looking at?
This year we're looking at 6 because of the place takes
600
600 people.
Okay, 600.
Yes, 600.
So we're looking at 600 people at
Exactly.
Vibrantly Africa,
At Vibrantly
moving
African.
under one vibe and
Exactly.
enjoying all
And
the
the
different things.
location, it's lovely. The location, it's really, really a beautiful location. So the place is going to be really, really lovely to be a part of.
And this the African Center, for it to be called African Center, is this the African Center that used to be in Covent Garden but
That's
then
the
has
one.
moved and changed premises?
Yes,
Yo,
that's the one.
people, you want to come and christen this your place then, innit? Yeah, the African Center. I would love, to see the new building, the new premises that it has been moved to, because African Center is part of, it's part of, you can say, the history of a lot of us who was in the early stages and days growing in our awareness about ourselves, and a lot of events would be taking place in Africa Center. So
That's
it has its own history there. So it'd be good to see it in its relocated place, and the vibes with that.
Yeah, I also
Brother
understand
Clyde.
it's a very spacious place as well.
It
You've
is
got a good
indeed.
capacity
It is because
Yes.
of lucky us. They have given us. We've got 3 different buildings. So we've got one up downstairs, which is quite spacious, and we've got one upstairs where we're going to be doing all the martial art and etc. That's
Okay.
where you're going to be building the, what do you call the thing that you're going to
Okay,
be building there?
we're gonna have the sacred geometry, the
I love
icosahedron, yes?
Oh.
That.
Okay.
I love that.
Question,
Right.
another question, in terms of access for people who may be using a wheelchair. Is that wheelchair
There
accessible
is
place?
exactly. There is not into the blue room though.
Okay.
But the white room, we've got a lift for people to go up. The
Okay.
healing room where the massage and the astrology and the numerology and all these things will be taking place.
So most of
there's
it
a
is
lift.
wheelchair accessible. then.
Exactly, except the blue room. The blue
Except the-
room, it's a little bit of a tricky one.
What's happening in the blue room?
The Blue Room, that's where all these 24 things are taking place. All these workshops are
Okay.
taking place.
Okay.
That's
So
where
then people can be assisted.
they
would
can be
able
assisted.
to-
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
If
yes. If
anybody
someone
comes with
has a wheelchair,
Okay.
definitely we could have some strong brothers who would make sure that they don't miss out any event. Yes. So everybody will be able to reach up there one way or the other.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, people, fruits of the earth, souls incarnated, you're hearing all of that, yes? And now we're coming to that time where I'm gonna have to leave you with a nice outro bass line of the intro tune that I was playing at the beginning. So I would like to, if there's any last words, Brother Clyde, that you would like to say on, because what you're going to be doing there as well, what you're presenting at the event, and because you just mentioned sacred geometry, and I know you do all of that. I mean, I've been to many of your events, you know what I mean? And yes, any last words, in order to, encourage them to come down, come up.
Well, yes. The place we were speaking yesterday, Carol, about setting up the sacred geometry, which is the dodecahedron, and so that would be the first time we've been setting up in the actual heart of London, and so that would be vibrant. It would be energized in terms of energy in the place. So I'm looking forward for setting that up. And yes, I'll be talking about how herbs, and there will be herbs on the scene. We'd have herbs that people may want to take home, and anything that you want to ask me about herbs and things of that nature. And I'll be speaking in depth about, going into the way of healing in terms of medicine and herb.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. I suppose, what I'm going to be there, I might as well present what I'm going to be doing there. I'll be doing a talk on astrology, its energies, and how your astrological chart represents the pattern of your consciousness, and how through our consciousness is how we create our realities, and where the personal planets you have, indicates, like Mercury is about your perception, just simplifying it here at the moment. The emotions is the moon. Your sense of self-worth and value, and, sense of love of yourself is Venus. How you assert and act on those feelings, and through your perception you hold, which is Mercury, is going to be the Mars. And, we all have our own kind of, you could say, lesson, or what we call the dweller on the threshold, which represents your own personal task, you then say. You come in here to a challenge to assist you to grow and expand and become more integrated. So so I'm going to be talking about astrology from that angle, how your astrological chart is a representation of your pattern of consciousness, and how we use our own consciousness. It's how we use our own consciousness that determines what we draw into our life experience, or how we set up the premise for our physical reality that we experience, and how you can change your perception that would then change your reality. But this is the astrological aspect of it, and that's the angle I'll be talking about. So yes, so Carol, is there any last words you would like to say?
Of course. I just want to say thank you so much, Brother Siayome, for giving me the opportunity for 3 weeks in your show. You have shared your space with me for 3 weeks, and I suddenly feel as if
she's moving in, man. She's moving in, man. She's moving in. You know what I mean?
Yes. I'm gonna leave my shoes so that next week I can be here to pick them up, so I can be a part of the radio. Yes, and the listeners out there, thank you so much for tuning in and giving me your.
I'm gonna leave you all with the outro that you're familiar with. And I would like to give enough love and thanks to my distinguished guests here, Brother Galactic Clyde and Sister Carol Matabula, pronouncing it correctly, yes, So yes, I'm so yes. Give thanks, and you are welcome, Carol, for everything you've said. You're very welcome, and brother Clyde, we have to have you on the show also again.
Yeah, respect.
Yeah,
Yes.
with no holds barred.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So thank you both,
Thank you.
and thank you for y'all who's still tuned in and listening. And know that you can also tune in on YouTube and listen to this if you didn't get the time to listen to it now. All right. So on that note, peace, love, and harmony. And yeah, see y'all on the 29th. Okay? Okay.
Au
Oneness,
revoir.
and take good care of yourself.
Oh, that was lovely. Oh.
No more living in this disagreeable way. No. So I guess I'll have to say to you, we're on our way. He who knows is he who feels. Striking to break free